Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Find Out podcast. A little announcement. We were going to have Governor Janet Mills with us today, but apparently Donald Trump is doing something to screw with the state of Maine and probably a bunch of other states. So she had to clear her schedule to deal with that today. So we will be rescheduling with her, hopefully here in the next few days. But we have plenty of things to talk about because, well, since we dropped our last episode on Friday, MAGA has sort of been at war with itself. Trump's breaking up with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Trump was railing on the Epstein list and then last night just decided to say release it, even though he could do that. So is MAGA breaking, guys? Are we maybe starting to see some cracks in this impenetrable cult-like thing that we've dealt with for 10
I gotta stop you. You've used breaking up, railing, and impenetrable in the same 30 seconds. You gotta stop.
I don't, have you ever seen the movie The Other Guys?
Yes.
Where he's always like making those things about TLC and they're like, those are the reference. I am really going to do, what's his name? Keaton. Michael Keaton. Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just saying it.
We have listeners who actually believe that you are like part of a conspiracy. You're gaslighting people with your comments that you act like you don't understand are as sexual as they are. Like, let's be honest here. Like, these are really deeply inappropriate.
Like Michael Keaton says, I'm just saying the words. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, don't go chasing those. No, there's no scrubs here. Okay, well,
that's a deep cut. So your question was, is MAGA in a civil war?
Yeah, okay. Yes. That's maybe
absolutely not. No, MAGA is stronger than ever. I mean, what are you guys talking about? MAGA is the future.
I think the biggest thing that happened over the weekend was Donald Trump gave Marjorie Taylor Greene not one, but at least two. Marjorie Taylor Brown, because as he explained in his Truth Social, because grass turns brown when it dies.
When it rots.
When it rots.
Or rots, yeah.
When you gotta explain a joke, it doesn't work.
Yikes.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I actually think is much more devastating.
Oh, yeah. That is better. But that was the second one, right? He threw the brown one out there and then had to, like Luke, you were saying, like had to explain it, which is the best way to know if your joke is working if you're having to explain it. Right. But I didn't see the traitor one, but that's a good one.
I just mostly saw other people that said you could have said this, but you went with Marjorie Taylor Brown.
That's like horrible. Maybe the worst one he's ever done.
I think he's. Sorry, I think the most exciting thing about the whole MTG thing, like, no, she's not. I mean, who cares? I don't care. I'm not voting for her. I don't live in her district. Whether this is genuine or not, whatever. But Trump already went on. Trump already went on Truth Social and said he's going to back whoever wants to primary Marjorie Taylor Greene. Within like 7 seconds, the Republican Party leader was like, "No, we got Marjorie Taylor Greene's back." Like, people don't fully appreciate Donald Trump losing kingmaker status in Republican Party politics. That's the whole thing. That is 100% of the whole thing. MAGA is broken in half, and everyone is going to, like rats fleeing the ship. Like, they are going to be desperate to figure out who's the big daddy now that Big Daddy is inept and out of power.
Now inept.
I think Tucker Carlson is ready to step into the spotlight. He had his disastrous interview with the white supremacist Nick Fuentes a few weeks ago. And just this weekend was the first time that Trump acknowledged it, because the Heritage Foundation had people quitting over it. And the president of Heritage came out and defended Tucker Carlson, and Trump basically came out this weekend and he's like, "Hey, I don't know these guys. People should just listen and decide for themselves." And it's like, oh, okay. So you're encouraging your base to listen to a Nazi and decide for yourself if you want to, side with the rabid anti-Semite. But one thing that should be notable is that at least as of the time that we're recording, the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, has not yet addressed this at all, but they have posted 3 times about Mayor-elect Mamdani.
I mean,
masks are off.
So, to be clear, Donald Trump knows Nick Fuentes. Because in the Truth
They had
Social
dinner
post this
together.
Had him for
weekend,
dinner,
right?
didn't they?
Not only did they have dinner together, they had dinner together at Mar-a-Lago.
Right. Yeah.
And he sat next to him. This is widely reported. He's even admitted it. So in this like Tucker Carlson versus who are we claiming is the other side of this? Is that Ted
Shapiro?
Cruz and Shapiro and Ben Shapiro? Donald Trump has sided with the white supremacists, which should not be surprising. And if
Shocker.
you go look at what Nick Fuentes has said over the course of his career,
I don't want to do that.
there is, well, you don't, but like it's important to see which side of this he is actually backing. It is the white supremacist fascist side.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe I'm agreeing with Ben Shapiro, but like in this particular instance, like he is right. But it kind of like, I don't know how much this matters anymore, because I think what we're seeing is that people are realizing that Donald Trump is a lame duck. And they are all, because they're all grifters, no one's doing this for altruistic reasons. They are now all trying to jockey for power, which I think is exactly what Tucker Carlson is doing. And frankly, winning at the moment. I mean, you got the president to back him. But it is interesting because Marjorie Taylor Greene also comes from that side of the party.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't actually know what she's trying to do, because she has not seen the light. I want to be very clear. She has not seen the light.
So she wants the Georgia Senate
Right.
seat.
Right.
And Trump told her, no, you should not run.
Right.
And I think she's on a revenge campaign.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end for that relationship for sure.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
That makes sense.
Like she was interviewed by, well, first of all, I saw the View thing, which was, I can't believe they put her on there, but like, she put her smiles on it, whatever. But then she was on with CNN this weekend with Dana Bash, and she apologized for her
Role in toxic politics.
role in the toxic politics. This is a woman who chased down gun violence survivors on the Hill before she was in Congress to yell at them. Like people who lost friends and family. I think, was that David Hogg who she chased around?
Yeah.
Like a kid at the time. Like you say what you want about him now, but like he was 17, 18 when that happened. She was chasing him around. And then today she came out with this America First thing, which we all know what that's code for. So please, any
first.
Democrats, she has not seen the light. She's not our friend. It's still fine for her to war with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But like, this is a personal vengeance thing. This is not I seen the light and I'm like, I'm going to become a better person.
Power hates a vacuum, and there's a vacuum. And so it's going to get backfilled, and everybody is going, I mean, they're going to all be going to war with each other to claim the mantle of MAGA. They'll probably certainly try to rebrand it or something, but like essentially what they're trying to do is harness the power of that cult. And so all of these people are going to be, I think it's going to be really bad for a while. Maybe they'll have somebody who's next person up for 2028, like in time, but it's just going to be, I mean, the soul of this is generous to say that there's a soul of the Republican Party, but like the pith of the Republican Party, the black hole where there should be a soul, is not going to be defined for a while. It's going to take people to pull the numbers that Trump pulled. And right now, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, these are not polished national leaders who are going to do what Trump has done. So it's just going to get worse.
Nobody can replicate Trump.
No.
I some people disagree with me on it, but I really don't believe, like, I think MAGA doesn't die with Trump, right? Because it's a gigantic movement and there's a lot of people believe in the tenets of it. But MAGA's momentum dies with Trump. There's no question about it. Nobody can take the mantle that Trump created, because Trump is enigmatic. Nobody's enigmatic like these other, like JD Vance is just a loser. Like he's just an annoying Weasley little loser. Nobody else has the personality adaptability that Trump has. Trump is a snake oil salesman at its best, which means he's charming and able to get into a room and convince you of things. Nobody can do all that. But the bottom line of it is MAGA made a very distinct promise that what it can deliver on and what it's going to do for regular Americans. And the reason this is all happening now is not Epstein. It's Epstein crashing into none of the promises coming true.
Right.
That's what it really is. And the more that goes on and the less their promises get fulfilled, the more they're going to just fucking hemorrhage people. And that's the bottom line of it. They can't fix that problem unless they actually do good things, which they won't.
Well, Luke, I want to ask you as our resident youth ambassador.
God damn it, you're supposed to stop saying that. A lot of people do not like it.
Youth ambassador?
It's deeply ageist, and
yeah, you fucking ageist.
I'm
piece of
ageist?
shit. Yeah.
Luke, what are your thoughts as a grown-ass man?
Oh, there we go. I like that. I mean, like, I find myself in right-wing places. There's a lot of right-wing fuck faces at the gym.
Mhm.
And I mean, once a week, I wear my fuck Trump hoodie to the gym. And it's been in the last 2 weeks that I've had two people that I've never talked to ever. One of them has "We the People" tattooed across his fucking chest, which, side note, there's a 100% correspondence between people who have "We the People" tattooed on them and dickheads. I have yet to miss
1-to-1
that
ratio.
But he came up and he was like, I've seen you wear this before, but this is the first time I'm agreeing with you. He hasn't done anything he promised, and this Epstein stuff, it really seems like he's involved. And I was like, it took everything in my power not to go, I fucking told you.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, it's pretty sketchy, man. Like, props to you for being able to say that you were wrong.
Yeah.
It's a lot like your kid comes to you and they're like, Dad, I don't want to be friends with the bully anymore. And you're like, okay, one part of me wants to say, like, that bully was a piece of shit for the last 2 years. You should have been smarter than this. The other part of you says, this is a moment. Please don't fucking
teachable
spoil
moment.
it.
Right, exactly.
Don't ruin the moment with your own personal feelings about it. So yeah, it's like, yes, that's a great, I totally agree with you. I'm really proud of you for coming to that realization.
Yeah, great job. We got a gentle parent, these fucking idiots.
100%.
That
100%.
is
yeah.
the center, like, of
Great job, little guy.
If we don't welcome them in with at least some version of that, we're fucked. Because
Yeah.
I saw this thing yesterday about how, like, we're not, like, it's hard to, it's annoying, but we're not winning. Trump is just losing. Like, we need to capitalize on them playing poorly.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing a terrible game. But we're not playing a good game either. We're just sort of like watching them play.
We
the
were
bad
for like
game.
2 weeks. We played a really strong
Yeah,
game.
right up until
Then we
the
fucked it
shut
up.
down.
Right, exactly. So we got to capitalize, man. I mean, that's the thing. And I think this is part of the strategy. It's like fucking wrangling all the people that are going to fucking just go
Yeah.
at these people and say, no, you're never welcome. It's like,
Right.
okay, where do they go then? They're going to vote. Who the fuck
Yeah.
you wanted to vote for,
I mean, I think it's right. And Luke, that was a very mature response from you. So well done.
A little out of
He
character.
also weighed like 400 pounds. He could have ripped me in half.
Yeah, I mean that's smart. That's smart. But I think this is the thing that I think Democrats are finally realizing. Like, we all kind of were like on the Epstein thing for a long time. It was like, why are we talking about this? It's a criminal investigation. I don't understand why this is like a national issue.
Right. Call me when
But
there's
this-
news, right?
Right. But
Yeah.
like the reaction that we have seen to Trump basically saying, no, don't release it. And then yesterday being like, release it. I don't care, which he could have released it himself
Yeah.
or any moment now.
Right. They're just
But-
trying to force him to release the
Right.
file. That's all
But-
that is happening now.
Right.
But what's really interesting is that is that coupled with the price stuff, I think is a deadly combination for him that I don't know if he's going to get out, which is why this week he wants to talk all about affordability. Which of course his affordabilities are like 50-year mortgages. I'm going to give you $2,000 of tariff taxes
Tariff
back to
dividend,
you, which
yeah.
he can't do without
Which is your own
Congress.
goddamn money.
Affordability is affordability the new infrastructure week?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, it
Because
definitely is.
If it is,
Yeah.
like, it can only go downhill from here.
For those of you
It's
who don't
just like
remember,
groceries.
It's the new grocery.
Affordability. It's a word no one ever heard.
It's, kind of an old-fashioned word.
and for those of you who don't remember, for 4 years, Donald Trump was promising infrastructure week
Mhm.
over and over again. And then literally, because he was the builder, right? He was the guy that builds everything, even though he doesn't. And then Joe Biden was like, hold my beer. Well, neither of them drank, but like, hold my beer. And literally did infrastructure week and passed significant infrastructure legislation, which of course Donald Trump railed against, which it's hard to imagine what Donald Trump would want from an infrastructure bill other than what they did in the infrastructure bill. But regardless, like, I do think that the Epstein thing, and I think we're all getting wise to it now, I think it really matters. And I think for that group, for a cult, it is a cult at this point. I think some of the people like Luke are seeing are like, he lied to us. And then if you lied to me about Epstein, why are my prices going up?
Right.
I think those two things, not for everybody, because we've also seen, frankly, pedophiles like admitting they're pedophiles, and to defend Donald Trump, there was this guy who posted on Twitter. He was like, I have a sex abuse charge because when I was 22, I was dating I think it was a 15 or a 16-year-old, and he's like admitting this online that he's like, yes, and he's saying how ridiculous it is. Megyn Kelly Did you guys hear what Megyn
Oh,
Kelly
God
said
damn.
last
Yeah.
week?
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
fucking crazy.
15? That's
She
barely
called
legal.
15-year-old barely legal. Yeah.
First
Barely
of all,
legal
Not
types.
legal.
barely legal types, right? 15-year-olds are what? Freshmen, sophomores in high school?
Yeah.
I was in
And Megyn
junior high. I have a 7th to 9th grade junior high. I was 15 the whole year
Yeah.
of 9th grade junior high. Like these are children with braces.
They're fucking children.
They're
If
children
you look at a
with
fucking
braces.
15-year-old as anything other than a child, you need your hard drive checked. Jesus Christ.
The thing that really struck me was like, okay, they're barely legal types, right? It is illegal for a 15-year-old to drive at night in all 50 states.
Or to get a license at
They
15.
can't. Well, they even the states where that you can like get a
You can-
learner's
yeah.
permit or you can drive with supervision during the day.
Right.
Unsupervised 15-year-olds are not allowed legally to drive at night in any of the 50 states or DC. Like, if you can't drive to the grocery store at 9 p.m. and get rubber bands for your braces, but you can be groomed by an adult billionaire, like, this is the argument. This is the argument that they are making on the right.
Yep.
So that they can desperately normalize whatever the fuck is about to come out about their
Well,
leaders.
that's what they're
I mean,
teeing up, right?
they've
she was
moved a
15,
lot of-
It's okay.
They've moved a lot of Overton windows, but this one
This
I'm
one
pretty
is
sure is
remarkable.
like real fucking
Well,
heavy. I don't
I
think
don't
it's
think this
moving.
fucker's budget.
No.
Did you see the clip that Dean
Yes.
Withers
I was
posted?
just gonna ask
Yes.
that.
So Dean, for those of you who don't know, he's
Oh God!
in his
that
early
clip,
20s.
yeah.
He's pretty well known, and he debates MAGA folks on, I think, mostly on TikTok, but
Yeah.
maybe it's all over. I don't know.
It's rage
He had
bait.
one guy on now, and seemed, when you hear him before he says the crazy thing, you're like, okay, like this guy seems to have his thoughts together and all of this, like whatever, where's this going? He literally was like, well, say Donald Trump did like that to a 15-year-old. He's like, he literally said, what's wrong with that? And Dean, like, I mean, you know, Dean deals with some, I mean, we all deal with crazy people, right? In our mentions and all this stuff. But like, he was like speechless for like minutes. And the guy was like, what? Like, say, basically like, what? Cat got your tongue? And he made some homophobic remarks as well.
Yeah.
But like, he like said it like 4 or 5 times. What is wrong with an adult being with a 15-year-old? And it's like, and then Dean finally goes, it's happening. They are defending pedophilia in order to defend the president of the United States. But I don't think they're all going to do that. I think there's a good group of them. But I think this is where the fissure starts. At least I hope.
The fissure started a while
Boy, Dean
back.
had a rough week. Did you see the other thing that he got last week?
No.
Ooh. He got tagged in a video of someone with another, like a phone of Dean who was pleasuring himself to the picture of Dean and posted it online.
Oh.
And then came up on live, and Dean was like, you want to tell everybody what the video was you posted?
Wait, he came up on live?
Oh.
Oh,
See,
that
Luke,
one.
it's not just me. Not just me.
God damn it.
Everyone.
But yeah, that Dean's had a rough week.
Ooh.
That's
I mean,
Yeah.
when you play in that space, that's, you know, those are the people who come also to play in that space. So like Dean,
I'm using the word come right now.
You did it again.
Dean has a long history of having a great time with rage bait, and this is what happens. But I mean, he's pretty good at managing his way through it. But those are not the people I want to talk to.
I mean, again, 15-year-old can't have a license, can't vote, can't join the army,
Right.
Can't drink.
can't drink,
Can't
like,
smoke.
can't
Even,
smoke.
you can't even sell alcohol to somebody at most
You
grocery
can't
stores.
go to a fucking R-rated movie.
That's true.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
And this is what they're doing. It's just like, and they're saying, like, the guy on Twitter, because of course it was on Twitter, was like, just
Gross.
like out in the open. I'm like, are you bragging about being on the sex offender registry for life? Because that's what he did say in this clip.
Yeah.
Mhm.
To do what? To defend Donald
Yeah.
Trump instead of admitting fault? That you're going to like basically just admit that you committed a crime that has put you on the sex offender list for the rest of your life? Like it like, ugh, I don't even
I mean,
know. what to
I
say.
think that a lot of people are struggling with the concept of the internet is forever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one day
Also
our
that.
country will not have a pedophile as commander in chief, and the FBI will not be wasting all of its time chasing
Oh my
down
God.
fucking migrants. And I really look forward to taking all of the of those receipts and making sure that these people are investigated, because you don't defend pedophiles unless you think it's acceptable. And if you think it's acceptable, you're probably doing some shit you shouldn't do.
Well, and have you seen, I don't remember where I saw this over the weekend, but essentially the Trump administration, either through DHS or ICE specifically, are diverting funds.
Yeah, I was just pulling that article up.
Diverting funds from, anti-terrorism and child trafficking investigations to round up more, brown people to throw out of the country. Wonderful. How is that making us safe?
Yeah, I was pulling that up because I as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, oh man, I just read that too. It's in the New York Times. Homeland Security investigators worked 33% fewer hours on child exploitation cases from February through April compared to their average in prior years. And this was only because they put in a FOIA lawsuit to force them to release the data. So we're talking about child sexual abuse. There's also everything has been defunded. The domestic violence, all of the things that the Party of Life says that they want, so that they can go and deport dads dropping their kids off at daycare, which happened in Portland, so that they can deport house cleaners and nannies and farm workers. Some people have been here 10 years. They've literally done nothing wrong but overstay a visa. And we're saying, no, predators are okay as long as we get those migrant workers out of here.
Right.
That's the Trump administration. And
then there was a report that came out this weekend from the Ford Motor Company's CEOs basically said they have 6, jobs, 5,000 or 6,000 jobs that are in the either the 90 or double or six-figure salaries. They can't fill the jobs because there's not enough people. Yep. This was the thing we said was going to happen with mass deportations, was that it was going to starve American businesses of workers. And that's going to obviously make prices go up because you can't make as many things. And it was so obvious that this is what was going to happen. We already had a labor shortage, right? We were near effectively zero unemployment. But now they're starving these companies, and these are good jobs, which then means those people are 6-figure jobs in those towns, buying things with 6 figures, and none of that is happening. And it's just a chain reaction that was so goddamn obvious to anybody who looks at this shit. But the racism of this America first, we're going to kick all the immigrant stuff out is now showing people what that actually means, which is it's worse for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest part of all this is that the ultimate outcome of all of it is slow. And that is the word. Narratively, it's we can keep saying this shit and it's all true, but it won't be effectively true in data today. It'll be effectively true in data 6 months from now. And then we'll be talking about different shit at that point in time. And everybody will go, well, it's not, you can't correlate. It's of course you can. You just have to be
talk
patient.
about how some pictures are AI or something at that point.
Exactly. It'll just that's the most frustrating part about politics in America in general, is the average person doesn't understand lag time. It's the same reason why we had fucking inflation as high as we did globally in mid 2021. It's because the effects of 2020 took fucking time to play out. It's all this shit takes time. I think more and more people are learning it as we go along, but still it's how do we possibly make it clear that we're not talking about right this second. We're talking about long term. This is going to be horrendous, and it's impossiple. We just can't.
Well, I think I can speak for all of us that at least we know we'll have good government data to talk about, right? All of the government data will be legitimate and will be very easy to make our point with.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, the studies show that facts don't matter. These people are impervious to facts. And in fact, facts that contradict their preconceived biases are perceived as attacks that send up their defenses and just make them cling to being an idiot even more tightly. What we need to connect with these, and I'm not fucking doing it because I hate these people, but what someone needs to do is connect with these people on values. That's what the science says when it comes to connecting with these people and influencing them. Again, I refuse to do that because fuck these people.
There are better people than us.
But I mean values, but I'd also say vibes, which I hate that word, but it's true. But this is why, I think I saw this weekend, Dave Portnoy was I'm tired of being called this word and I'm tired of called that. So I'm moving my business from Manhattan to New Jersey. And this is a distinct point that we've talked about before. All these people keep saying Democrats are calling me racist. Democrats are calling me sexist. And the answer is no, they're not. Now, maybe individual people are doing that, but no elected leaders, no politicians are doing that. But conservative media is telling them over and over again that that is what's happening, to the point where they actually, I don't think that they're lying. I think they actually believe it because they're getting a diet of it on Facebook. They're getting the Andrew Tates and the Ben Shapiro's are telling them this, and the Dave Portnoy's. And this is, again, why it is so important to have a left-leaning ecosystem, because nothing, like, there's no, like, mainstream media is not going to say Democrats aren't calling you racist and sexist, but like someone needs to show them that, like, that they're not. And I don't know how to break that without, like, you know, creating a large ecosystem where people will eventually get some of this content, because they're believing things that are just not real. It's just not real.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trump was looking at fucking AI videos of Portland. Why he sent ICE there and the National Guard.
Trump was looking at a photoshopped picture of knuckle tattoos, convinced that it was real. Like we got to really
Times New Roman.
we got to baby step this guy into recognizing AI deepfakes.
One of the things that, like, I agree with you, Tim. Mainstream media is not doing it, but I think, like, now, like we say, mainstream media is kind of dead, and like the ecosystem we live in.
Yeah, let's accept that.
Power, and like that's said all the time in our ecosystem. Like, people on the left who are content creators all the fucking time, we're calling them racist and misogynist.
I'm not going to pretend I don't.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. So I think that that's maybe not true. Like, I do think
I'm also not going to pretend it's not true.
Right,
At the
exactly.
very least, these motherfuckers are standing shoulder to shoulder with racists
100%.
and sexists and bigots.
100%. But I think, like, it's the, you know, coming from the place where I come politically, where I'm sort of in the middle a lot of the time, and not with Trump, but generally, you know, policy wise.
Republican.
Yeah, exactly. So
why are you so racist? Let's unpack that first.
Yeah,
that's the challenge I have with this is that whenever I hear those big words, I go, don't go that far unless it's like that you have it. If you have something where it's like clearly that's racist, call it racist. But don't just label it racist because it's like you could stand shoulder to shoulder next to it, or there's like a way to draw a line. The line has to be fucking clear for it to mean something. And we've used it so much that it doesn't, and it's turned into an attack for the other side to come back and go, hey, I'm not a racist. You know, and it's like, you know what? I think that those people who say that, they believe they're not. Like, they may not see the correlation of standing shoulder to shoulder with a racist or voting for a racist as making them racist, because they sit back and go, I don't dislike black people. And for them, that's the end of the conversation.
I agree.
They're just not a racist because they support ICE. They're just, you know, not a racist because all of the things they support. That's where I come from.
I actually agree. But I think I agree. But I mean, obviously, people are calling, like, this. You know, people have called them racist and sexist. But I don't think it's the individual people that is causing them to believe that on a grand scale. Right. Though I do believe that's from the large voices who are telling them that.
I think it's a mixture, but I agree with that for the most part.
Yeah. And but like, you know, anyways, go ahead.
I once worked with a guy years ago, and he came up to me. We're two bearded white men and straight white married men in a red state, and he walked up to me and something had prompted it at work at the time, and he said, "I feel like it's a 4-letter word to be a straight white man in this country anymore," and I was like, does it really? Like, based on what? And he was kind of like, well, and I said, we have it pretty good though, right? Like if you really, like, I know that you might feel that way about some specific things, but like, really, we have it pretty good. And he was like, yeah, I guess that's true. But I guarantee it's
stupid. I can't figure out what this 4-letter word is.
You know what it is? It's I was watching an episode of a show.
I feel like a victim though.
I was watching this episode of Silicon Valley where this one character is like an objectionable piece of shit who was like just barely a billionaire, and then he went like on $900,000 or $900 million. That's what that feels like to me. It's like straight white men can't call themselves billionaires anymore, but you still got like $950 million. Like, you didn't just become fucking poor. You have a ton of money. Maybe you lost a teeny bit of power. Boo hoo. You still got a fucking ton. Like, I don't understand how that's
the thing, right? When you're used to privilege, equality feels like a fucking loss.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I say it all the time. Like, these people don't realize that they're being racist.
Right.
I mean, I recognize today at the age of 40 that the views that I used to hold when I was 20 in Iraq were pretty fucking racist. Mm-hmm. But like, if someone called me a racist back then, I would have, like, you know, gotten in a fist fight with them.
Right.
Because I truly didn't fucking believe it.
I mean, I was homophobic as fuck in the 90s. I think everybody was homophobic as fuck in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all find our way. And there's a expression that I heard years ago that I loved, that was, you stand for what you tolerate.
Mm.
And I think that's something that the left takes upon themselves. Like, no, you actually have to confront injustice. Otherwise you're just allowing it to exist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's the part of the woke fight that we will never win with Republicans, because you can't convince somebody to take it upon themselves. It's an enormous burden to carry, to think I have a personal responsibility to confront injustice wherever I see it. Otherwise, I stand for that injustice. That's a high bar to clear every day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you approach problems with that, especially when you're from a person of, with a lot of privilege, like frankly all five of us are, it's a big burden to carry. But like you kind of responsible to carry that anyway. And you're not going to be perfect every day, but like do anything, like confront anything ever, and you're better off.
Well, and there's layers to it, right? And I'll give you an example of, the Graham Plattner interview last week, and my personal experience, where I was pretty proud of what we did, and I thought Chris in particular asked him a very, very difficult question, and I thought we did well. But like I posted this on Blue Sky, and I thought, I'm patting myself on the back for doing such a great job, and many trans people came to me very angry about the fact that he had said some anti-trans stuff in the past, and I didn't ask him, or we didn't ask him about it. And I'll be honest, like I did not know that he did. But I think that's part of the challenge in this world where you're trying to move people over, is that how do you make it okay for everybody? And I think the answer is that's very difficult to do, but it's also important for us in the world that have a lot of privilege to acknowledge that. Because like I said, I was very upset about that happening to me, because I see myself as somebody who will always defend the trans community. But they didn't see it that way. And, I have to also understand that there are groups that aren't going to feel the same way about some of these things. And that's some of the difficulty that we face on our side, where we believe that everybody deserves human rights and equality. Mm-hmm. And it's hard when you talk to somebody who in the past at least spewed things that were not equal. And,
well, we also, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So we also assume perfect knowledge, right? I don't think that anyone was coming after you from the trans community because you platformed someone knowingly. They were coming after you because you didn't know. And what that means to some folks, to the people who are the targets of this hate, is that you don't care enough to educate yourself. Right. And I totally understand that feeling, but as a new dad, I have learned that I don't have enough fucking time to have any idea what the hell is going on, with everything that Graham Plattner is doing, like the Nazi tattoo shit. Obviously that's my fucking lane. So I know that people were coming to me about it, but until you brought up what happened this weekend, I had no idea that he had a history of anti-trans comments. That I just had no clue.
I mean, I am as chronically online as it gets. I mean, my screen time's through the fucking roof. I had done research on everything he'd said, and I still didn't know anything about the anti-trans stuff.
Yeah. I don't know all the details still. I have a son, so like I was busy this weekend, but like I'm certainly going to look into it more. But I just think it's a challenging dynamic that we have, and especially as five white guys, maybe, there's more onus on us to do more research to make sure that people are covered if we're going to do this, which I think is totally fair. And I think I'm happy to make a commitment that I'm going to do that. Especially when it comes
I think we can speak for all of us and say that's the case.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I think that we understand that we are privileged, and like some of that stuff that may be very painful to others, like in a mountain of things that come out at any one time, we missed that one. And I think that's fine. And I didn't like being hit over it, but I think it was a fair point, and enough people were upset that, I think it's totally warranted. But, I think all we could say is that we're going to try to do better as we're like going along in this project of trying to move more men left, and finding ways to do that without also like enraging people who, feel some threat to some of those guys who may be coming over.
What I'm curious about is whether the people that are writing us angry messages saying that we are Nazis because we platformed Graham Plattner is if they are listeners or if they are just random people from Blue Sky.
They're not.
Who are,
they're not listeners.
They're not listeners because
I just find it so wildly. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's like if you knew anything about anyone on this podcast, especially the fucking guy who runs 2 nonprofits to train people how to literally fucking hunt Nazis and get them locked up and sued, to write a fucking email to me saying that I am a Nazi is
insane.
You need to have your head examined if you truly fucking believe that.
Well,
that is the dumbest fucking thing ever.
I agree, but I would also just say, especially for the trans community, who I think feels very unsafe right now. And the overwhelming majority of the people who are making them unsafe are white men. Now they are conservative white men, but they are white men.
Yeah,
so
they look like us.
They do, right? They do, and so that's why, in particular, I was upset because I was not seen in their eyes as an ally, that they saw me as problematic. I'm not mad at them for saying those things because I think that they are rightly scared. And there is all this shit that's going on, especially in red states. You can't even tell your class that you're gay in Florida.
Yeah.
But you could tell your class you're straight. There's these bathroom bills which are just meant to target and push into the shadows the most vulnerable groups among us.
Well,
I understand that. I understand that defensive crouch, not crouch, because they're getting it from everybody, right?
Yep.
This is one of those things for me where, and the left has gotten a little bit better about this. We will backslide into our gatekeeping and the partisan purity and all that shit if we start seeing more success. But right now we have to understand how many things are simultaneously true, that where half of them just shouldn't be true, but you have to accept that they are. Like we've built this world on the left where if you gatekeep language and you say all the right words and you're like, well, that's problematic and that could impose harm on somebody. Okay, sure. We create this perfect utopia where we only say the right things and we only talk to the right people and we only platform the right ideas. And then we get 6% of the vote in the next election because we have taken our culture so far from what normal, regular, average people are talking about that we've completely lost efficacy. And so, yes, it is true that trans people should wake up every day and leave their house as absolutely unafraid of the world as Donald Trump leaves his house, just feeling like the world is my oyster. It is also true that in order to get there, we have to talk to people who maybe 6 months ago were afraid of trans people, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. We talked about this before, but before the episode, but everybody watched Ace Ventura in the 90s and everybody laughed at it. And now when you watch it again, you go, holy fuck, this movie is 90% anti-trans humor. Yeah. And it never occurred to anyone that was harmful in the 90s. Does that mean that we're all terrible people that we laughed at it back then?
Right.
No, it just means that times have changed and our opinions have changed. So if Graham Plattner was transphobic or accidentally made some jokes or intentionally made some jokes, all of those things can be true. And it's also true that we need Graham Plattner to be a trans ally in the future. And
right.
I'm sure he's the kind of person, I know he's the kind of person who will learn from those kinds of mistakes. So let him learn from the mistake and let's try to build that other world that we need to exist that doesn't exist yet.
Exactly. I mean, we just need to give people room to figure it out, to understand, right? I have people in my family who are very progressive, allies of these communities, but don't understand what being trans even is. And they'll say things like that it's but they'll make the mistake of they think it's about your sexual preference. That has nothing to do with it. It's a totally separate topic. And they're like, what? And so they truly just don't get it. And they're afraid to ask questions. That can't be the standard. We have to give a little bit of room for those people who can be allies to come in and be wrong about shit and say things wrong and not be like, hey, you said it wrong. Well, I don't know. That's a challenging thing. So that I think is the only tweak that needs to be made. As long as we make that tweak of allowing people to be curious and make mistakes, we're good. We're on the side of right. And I think that's we're close. We're getting closer.
Well, the thing is, at least in my experience, I don't pretend to know everything about trans culture or anything.
Right.
I have never once had a trans person that said, "Hey, you used the wrong pronoun. Fuck you."
No.
Not once.
Nope.
Because I come at it from a fucking angle of I don't fucking know everything and I don't mean any harm. And I'm here to learn. Never once had a problem with that. The only times I've ever had problems with it is people that get mad on the behalf of others.
Yes.
Correct.
And
Yes.
that's some dumb shit right there.
100%.
If a trans person isn't mad at me for fucking up, you shouldn't be mad at me
Right.
on behalf of them.
It's a great point.
We look
Right.
for ghosts everywhere. Like, well, you might theoretically create a situation that's hostile to somebody from that community. Like, is that community in the room right now with us? Because I'm not feeling it from the community. I'm only feeling it from the people who are looking for a theoretical fight.
And I think we're the one thing that I think is fair for us to do is that like we're new to this, right? Like we just started in February, and so people don't know us. So, when you have a history of thinking or experiencing that white men are almost uniformly mean and nasty and transphobic, it's sort of on us, right, to show that we're not. Right. And then when we do that, also then trying to give space for people to come and learn, we'll have a lot more cachet to do that, or a lot of built up trust. But I understand why they don't trust a bunch of white guys
Absolutely.
To handle this appropriately.
Yep.
But I would love to engage with the trans community and find out how we can be more helpful, because I do want to defend that community. It outrages me that we have these bathroom bills, and I think the sports stuff is completely ridiculous.
It's fucking
and
stupid.
because also no kids care about this unless you're Riley Gaines, who came in 5th place and like I guess was mad about not coming in 4th place, which is still not placing, but now has managed to turn that into a MAGA grifty career, which is no surprise. Yeah. But I want to be seen as an ally. So, I would love to have that dialogue, and I think it would be great for us to have some members of the trans community on the show and having a conversation with a bunch of white guys, and what that's like. So yeah.
One shortfall that we have is a lack of an appreciation for specialization. Mm-hmm. I am a veteran advocate, and I am an anti-fascist investigator, right? Like that is veteran is an identity that I chose, and anti-fascist investigators is a skill set that I developed over years. I am highly fucking knowledgeable about 2 topics that the vast majority of Americans don't know anything about. And I do the best that I can to educate myself on a broad spectrum of issues, but I can't be perfect on everything. Mm-hmm. I could try really fucking hard. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the frustrations that I personally have is that some people, and it's not just me, some people don't understand that this person is doing so much good in like this category that no one else is able to do. Like Tim, his primary thing used to work at Everytown is gun violence. Like I don't address gun violence pretty much ever on my social media or otherwise, because it's not my specialty. But Tim does a fucking great job. Right. I think that our side just doesn't recognize the value of specialties and the fact that you can be a jack of all trades and master of none, or you can be a master of something and perhaps not as good at everything as your primary specialty.
Yeah, I think that's right. But, and I also just to take the side of the trans community or any marginalized community, that I think the answer would probably be, well, that's great that you know about guns, but then why are you talking to this guy about this other thing? And I think that I think they are worried about people who are anti-trans being raised up. Like if they're getting raised up in the Democratic Party, which I'm not saying that's what that is, but like that's an existential threat to that community. So I understand. Right. Also, the problem with all of this happening on social media, you've got 200 characters tops to make a very nuanced point, which is essentially impossible, which inflames tensions on all sides, because then you're talking past each other, which was probably some of what happened last week as well. And I just think I completely agree with you. I just think it's really difficult to have these conversations on social media, which is why it's also important for us to have shows like this, where, we're 45 minutes into this and we've been talking about this for 10 or 15 minutes, which I think that, you can get through a lot more and you can really start to understand people better that way. And I think that's why this is so important for us to do. But I do understand, because we're not known and there are some other bros out there who are not very helpful. And so they see us and think there's just another 5 white guys, having a podcast, which I understand. So I am totally fine with earning the trust and the respect of the community, but it did take me back, but it's a good reminder as a very privileged white man that nobody's perfect and we all have a lot of work to do to get where we ultimately want to be.
You know what?
So circling back to our beginning, I want to ask you guys, this might sound like a joke, but I'm serious. Like, what would Marjorie Taylor Greene have to do before you would have a conversation with her?
Have a conversation with her?
A public conversation, a podcast or social media?
I mean, I'd have a conversation with her right now, but it wouldn't go well.
The Jewish space.
I guess the question. Yeah, I guess the question is
ever going to be like I'm not going to talk to her like you're a fucking rational human. When 6 months ago you were saying Jewish space lasers, like.
Right.
No.
Well, I guess the question is the goal to talk to her for podcast ratings, because I guarantee you a lot of people would watch that.
Oh, yeah.
Or a productive conversation in which she could theoretically show us that she has changed.
Well, so we're saying that, I'm not saying this, but everyone else is saying that traditional media is dead. Mm-hmm. Well, traditional media, Dana Bash of CNN had and The View have had conversations with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Mm-hmm. She is going to be platformed.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what. So, is it just a hard no? If Marjorie Taylor Greene's team reached out to find out, is it just a hard no? Or do we bring her on and try to teach her something using our platform?
Well, we are not doing this live. And so I would absolutely bring her on and set the expectations immediately. We're not going to platform misinformation or hate. So if you say stupid shit, we're just going to end the recording and then we'll never publish it. If you want to have a fucking grown-up conversation about real things and say things that are true and see if we can find any way to agree on anything at any point, then it'll go live. She would never agree to those conditions to be gatekept
and
by a bunch of liberals.
we're going to talk about some of the terrible things you've said.
Right. I mean, that would be a mandate as well. I mean, look, I think it also depends on how you look at it. Because I wasn't on the Plattner episode because I'm Jewish and I didn't want to engage in that conversation, but I was totally happy to have us platform him because I don't think it's a bad thing to platform these people. You just have to determine how you want to interact with it, right? So I knew I wouldn't be a helpful part of that conversation because I have a very slanted view of all this kind of stuff. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'd say no to that too for the exact same reason. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't platform her and ask her those tough questions. You really just have to be willing to participate or not. And I'm happy to have the team do it, but I would have no interest personally.
I tell you, I would do it. I will talk to anybody.
I'll talk to anybody, yeah.
But if Donald Trump wants to come on, he can come on.
I don't think I could speak coherently.
I would. Well, first of all, the rating, just from getting attention and getting the word out, I would do it. But we would also ask him really hard questions. He would never do it because it would be a joke. The thing about the platforming thing, which in 2015, I kind of got, it's don't give this guy air because you're just going to make him more powerful. And, but guess what, guys? Donald Trump can't be more powerful than he is now.
He would be platforming us by coming on our
he's
show.
Platforming us. So he's making us stronger, which is partially why I would do it.
Right.
The same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right. We're not going to excuse her behavior for coming. If she wants to show that she's really she's so sorry about her negative contribution to the discourse, I would be what about this? What about this?
Right.
She said stuff right.
Yeah.
We'd actually be our first. It'd be our first ever get fucked with the person on as Luke is doing it.
The notorious GED.
And you got to sit there and take it. I have no problem. I will not engage with a Nick Fuentes. I am not interested in that. Absolutely not.
Well, because that's performative. And he's not trying to work for people or fix anything or allegedly represent anyone. He's on a mission.
I see him as a clear and present threat to our democracy. And I am not doing that.
Yep.
But these people who are in elected positions, also her coming on our show in her district, not going to help her. So like, we're not doing them any favors. Like, I don't think that I think the
She's
View
not going
thing,
to get more votes because she comes on.
but the View thing I thought was a bit, they did not hit her very hard. So
No.
like, that was a joke. But like, if she comes on, she would have to answer questions. So here.
Yeah.
Hi, Marjorie. Tim Fullerton from the Find Out podcast here.
Sorry.
I abhor every one of your beliefs. I think you're completely full of shit. But if you'd like to come on and talk about it on the Find Out podcast, give me a date. We'll be there. I'm like, really, like if she wants to, she
Can we
wants
clip
to
that and just
yes.
publish, just clip that and publish
Please.
that.
Yeah. This could be our open invitation to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
It is.
Or Marjorie Taylor Brown.
That should be your cold open for the show.
I like it.
Can we
it
slice
would leave,
this and put it right at the
Absolutely.
beginning?
It's like a Quentin Tarantino film. Like you see the ending
It's
first.
like a foreshadowing. the thing. Yeah. Marjorie,
It's like
and
like
you've
a
even got
fiction.
somebody from your state is here. Kind of.
That's true.
Or you live there.
I'd be a constituent if you really tried to present.
Maybe well, I guess you said you wouldn't be on it though if she was on because of
if I
her
could
stupid anti-Semitic
it's
bullshit.
different.
But
I actually might be on this because with Graham, I didn't want to like attack him for it because it's so like murky and shit. But for her, it's like I could attack the fuck out of you because you were crazy anti-Semitic and like didn't apologize for it.
I'll be honest.
I might be more open to that.
I will have a far easier time attacking a Republican because it's like you said, it's so much more nuanced, and this one is quite complicated when you actually dig into it. But on that, and also, hey, Donnie or Junior, whichever one, if either one of you idiots
Beavis
want
and
to come on
Butthead.
too,
Junior's got to pull his head out of that pile of snow.
wow. I mean, have you seen some of his live? Have you seen some of his lives? I'm sure he had just finished up when he went on. Like,
I saw that picture of the whole Trump family.
So is there actually? Here's a question: Is there any elected official you wouldn't have on the show?
Would not.
In the U.S. Because we're not going to do dictators.
I don't think that Lauren Boebert would be a good guest.
Oh, I would do that.
I would do that too.
I would do that.
I would not be able to speak coherently.
I just don't think she would be a good guest. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene could at least she could at least hang, but and not in a good way.
I
but
think I would just play the TikToks I've made about Lauren
I'm saying
Boebert.
I would do it.
I don't want to shoot the shit with Marjorie Taylor Greene is what I'm saying.
Well, but she is a complete joke, and I have no problem making somebody who is that hateful and that racist look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So Congresswoman Boebert, well, if you're listening, it's called the Find Out podcast. We're a political podcast.
Let's set some guidelines though. So who would you not have on? But the episode is recorded and it has to go out. If there's misinformation, if there's hate, you as a host are responsible for addressing it in real time. Is there someone that I think Rich was the one who said it, that he would have Marjorie Taylor Greene and then cut the interview off when she spouted misinformation, which is guaranteed to happen. So that's kind of like saying I would not interview her.
Yeah,
so let's set our rules in this hypothetical.
All right.
It's
you
live.
you have to do it live.
I got one that I won't do.
Stream.
Paul Gosar, hard pass. No way.
Yep.
He is such an openly racist person and has spoken at white supremacist events. And his whole entire family hates his guts to the point that every time there's an election, they make ads for the Democrat to show how much they hate him. There's no redeeming that. And I'm just not interested. Also, he's just bland and a loser and just an awful human being. Yeah. And he doesn't have sway in the party like some of these other people do. So I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Who was the guy in North Carolina? Was it Mark Robinson? Was that his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, Mark
I
Robinson.
wouldn't have a live. I would not have a live conversation with
He
Mark
referred
Robinson.
to himself as a black Nazi.
Exactly.
Right.
No, hard pass.
Watsy.
Not a Blotsy. Oh my god. This guy's not elected, but Stephen Miller would be one. He's not
Yeah,
elected.
Stephen Miller.
No.
I don't know.
I will not talk.
Stop him.
No,
I would have because I have no problem just calling him a disgusting piece of shit to his face.
Yeah.
And I know that stuff eats him up, which is why he's now hiding in an army base because he can't stand the pressure. I would say, look, again, we can't make these people more powerful. It's just not possible.
No.
I mean, Stephen Miller is basically running the domestic agenda for the Trump administration.
That's true.
So I would have
an
no
opportunity
problem
to tell him to fuck off live.
ripping him. First of all, it would just be an hour of talking over, so people would probably hate it.
Because
Because he is very good at just talking through the questions.
Yes.
But we could I know how to mute his mic.
I am also
So
good at that.
I would do a 30-second conversation with anyone, and I would take all the airtime. It would be like that scene from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You know,
Oh yeah.
Griswold's rant at the very end.
Oh yeah,
That'd be it, right there, and then boop, we're done. See you never.
Where's
Fuck
the
off.
aspirin?
yeah. I mean, we'd have to do it. There would have to be
Damn, where's the aspirin?
any one of those. Yeah, yeah. And he does the speech, and then he gets the big check. So that's kind of like a sign that that's the way you should do it.
Fair enough.
Well,
See, I honestly, to answer my own question, I don't think that I'd be able to participate in any of those interviews because I recognize my limitation in I am very bad at fact checking and I am too emotional when someone lies. And I don't think that the end result, the interview as published, would be helpful to anyone.
well,
I don't think that I am skilled enough as an interviewer to engage in that kind of thing.
you don't want to see Chris mad, guys. Trust me.
No, we can all agree you do not want to see Chris mad.
Guys, I'm you've seen bad Chris more than anyone else. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I
We're still here.
but okay. So Marjorie, Lauren, Donald, Chris probably won't be on
RFK. I want RFK.
Oh,
my
I would
number
do
one
that.
guy.
I would do
the
that.
fucking
I don't-
second.
because
I gotta
he's
turn
such
my
a fucking
headphones
liar.
way down on that though. Like that sound for like an hour in your ears.
Oh, I would
This-
just
this
go. Oh, it'd be
so bad.
fun.
Oh, I would love that
That's
because
why I come from pharmaceutical, like the pharmaceutical industry. I would just have a fucking field day on this guy. Holy
We could
shit.
do like
Hey.
a super cut of all of the so it would end up being like
Gravel.
17 minutes of like a gravel truck in
all right.
a garbage disposal.
Bobby Jr.
Oh,
You
come
can
on,
come.
man.
I'm hugging him.
Your
Why are you-
grandpa.
No, I'm
would-
pointing. I'm
his
pointing. I can't stop my hands from moving. It's probably a terrible podcast because I'm like doing this all the time. But look, if any elected politician wants to come on our show that's named not Paul Gosars, or did we say somebody else? I can't even
Mark
remember.
Robinson, I don't want to
Mark
talk
Robinson.
to.
Well, he's not
He's
elected,
not
so
elected
like
Right. Well,
anymore.
he'll-
He was.
He'll try again.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
He will fail, though.
I think he's like
no.
a community moderator at Pornhub now.
I mean,
Finding all his Republican buddies.
I
comments.
also just love that he tried to lie his way through that. And Andrew Kaczynski at CNN was like, "Is this your email address?"
Right.
He's like,
It's like
what,
Mark Robinson 69 at AOL.com.
something that he had sent emails to other people from before, and they were like,
Wait a minute.
I still want to know how they got that. I want to
do
know
too.
who knew enough about Mark
Right.
Robinson that they knew about his Nazi/trans porn addiction, that they also had his email address. Like,
That's a whole sentence.
Do we want to know all
There-
about
there
that?
are-
No.
there are tools
that's true.
that I use for this. If I have your name, like I can
Mhm.
pretty much find your social security number.
Oh,
And I'm not like, that's not what I'm doing for a living, but that's how I find neo-Nazis and like when they bought property and
Right.
where.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
how I find like where they registered their car, what kind of car they drive. If the information that data brokers have on us
Yeah.
is absolutely tremendous, and literally all I need is your first and last name, and I can find out virtually anything about you.
Well, on that
So
note,
that's
that
how.
note,
That's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
on that note, do you guys want to hawk some merch?
Yeah,
Well,
give us your
hang on,
personal
hang on,
information,
hang on.
like your shipping address
We-
to get
hang
this cool
on.
shirt.
Wait. Oh, Rich, you have something?
There's an important
Mine was
because
better.
we pivoted off of the trans conversation. I just want to put out an ask to the community because the thing that fixed me is meeting and getting to know a trans person really well.
Yep.
Over the course of like a year and a half, she's amazing. She broke down crying when she would talk about like what it felt like to just exist sometimes.
Mhm.
And then kind of get back at it, and just, I mean, you can't, they don't fake it. Then like none of this is a choice. They're not, this is just, they're desperately trying to be who they are. Just meet the person, get to know them. And so that, I think that's the best thing we could do. So we'll do our own research. How can we, there are probably a handful of trans advocates who are willing to go and put themselves out there. We will find those people, but also if there's somebody that people that our listeners, who our listeners listen to, or they have a YouTube channel or Instagram Reels or whatever, tell us who that person is, and we will gleefully invite them on the show. Because just normalizing what used to be considered weird and taboo is just the fastest way to just snuff it out
100%.
so that everybody's just like, oh, well, maybe I'm just cooking up a fantasy in my head about how scary this all is.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to throw that out.
No. That's definitely a good point. So
Now we
okay.
can hawk some merch.
Now we're going to hawk some merch.
Couple
All right,
of real hard pivots here.
Guys, it's cold outside.
That's true.
It's really cold. Today it was like 36 when I woke up. Not good. But you know what?
Where are you going with this, Tim?
I've got my Find Out hoodie. This one.
I didn't see that
We
coming.
also have faces on the sweatshirt, right? The 5 faces. Luke has a lovely white shirt on.
Yes, with a tree on it.
With a tree on it. He's doing his Newsom on the Find Out show shirt opening. Chris has the black and yellow tree. And I actually think underneath this, because I just am a shameless promoter everywhere we go.
Good Lord.
Doubled
I
up.
have the Isaac Newton on. So you can get these.
You're like the singer who wears the shirt for his own band on stage while performing his own music. It's like a little bit masturbatory.
Always
gonna
be
lie.
marketing. Always be marketing. It's a little bit of a play on Alec Baldwin's thing. But yeah, it's all union made in America. It's super comfy, and you help support the show. And you can get them at findoutpodcast.com. You could also subscribe as a member at our Substack at findoutpodcast.substack.com. Guys, thank you very much. On Thursday, we are actually going to be back with Harry Dunn, who was one of the police officers involved in trying to contain the January 6th, I'm going to call it coup attempt, because that's what it was. And so we're going to insurrection. So we're going to hear from him a little bit about that and what he's up to now. So until then, guys, have a great week, and we'll be back on Thursday.